do is we're going to go live. We're live now. And we'll roll the show out in 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to go on to on my phone so I can pull up comments.
Okay.
Where are you located?
I'm in England.
Oh, you're in England.
Yeah. You're in Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm in Kauai.
Hawaii.
Yeah. So I'm 11 hours behind you, most likely.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Yeah, the electronics are slow. Oh, still not there. Shows we're on. Oh, here we are. Okay, so we got 11 people in the house so far. Sound is working. Let me share it to the page. Share. I'll go back in here. All right. Hello, everybody. Jania Gazda in Vienna. Cheryl Corcioni. Good Italian name. We had a good time with her. Aaron Lee. Jody Lee's in the house. Jenny Smith. Stephen Michael Jones down in Norway. Let's see who just walked in here. Paul Castaneda's here in the Zoom room. We got Chris Helbling. Murray Iverson, Sweden. Pia, also in Sweden. Patricia Satchwell's here. 17 people in the house. I'm going to share to our affiliate groups, and we'll introduce the guests and introduce our beloved sister here. Not a guest. It's our beloved sister. Shout out to Ignite Your Light, Rising Above, Spiritual Healers, 13th Dimension of Consciousness, Circle of Life, Anna Maria Garcia. The event is happening, Jill McCarty and that bunch, 1111 Movement, Jessica Woods. The sun will rise in the west, Twin Flame Healing Network, the 5D High Vibe Tribe, New Earth Ascending Soul, Galactic Federation of Light, Infused Lights, Lightworkers Unification, the Promethean Elite, and who do we got left here? We got 5D Soul Tribe, Guardians of Oneness, and Spiritual Wonderland. These shows resonate. Please share so we can stay above the algorithms on Facebook. And we appreciate you guys all doing it. Hello, Tony Bondelen and Piana Rose, Sharon McMillan Thompson, long time no see. Michael Van Patten, MVP. Mary Lynn Young, Colette Avery, Katarina Suta Cordova, and Amanda Henning, Dawn Ivy. All right. So let me just give a little backdrop to, and by the way, thank you everybody for your continued love and support and contributions to keep us going by the seat of our pants every single day. Somehow or another, we always make it. I don't know how, but I stopped questioning. I just have complete faith in all of us being allowed to align with what we love doing and who we love being with, such as our beautiful beloved sister we're about to talk to. Let me give you a little backdrop. Charan Surdhar, she has a BSc degree in microbiology and an MSc in human genetics, after which she worked in the field of genetics for 13 years, identifying genetic mutations for a whole host of genetic diseases, and contributed to many scientific papers as well as textbooks. Now she combines the 3 pillars of science, spirituality, and ancient wisdom to bring about a shift in DNA expression that reflects health and well-being. She is currently also undertaking a PhD in integrative medicine on how to express the power in the DNA through presence and consciousness. She's also an author of a book. You can find that at www.hebathe.com. That's going to be in the text of this program. And she's also and has a passion to create animated videos to explain in a simple way concepts such as epigenetics, which you can find on her YouTube channel and at www.charansurdhar.com. Dr. Bruce Lipton, who everybody I'm sure has heard of, said about her work, "Thank you for your healing work. It is vital for our evolution." So welcome to Soul Speaks 5D, SoulogyOne Network. Charan, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us today.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's just a real pleasure to be on here, and I honor you and Morgan and all the people that are joining us today.
Thank you very much. You know, this is we don't usually go into these shows, not that there's anything wrong with it, with topic specific, but this seems to be one of the ones that we will. You've got a very unique background, and I've got to ask you, I mean, I know that you're definitely spiritually connected. There's no question about that. Your aura speaks for itself, but was there something that pushed you to leave the let's just say the field that you were in and dive into what you're doing now? Was there some type of event in your life, a wake up call?
I would say it's more actually a part of the wake up to be in that and then to be in this as well, because originally my whole passion was awakened when the AIDS epidemic came out many, many years ago. And, you know, at that time, I remember it was just, as a child, I remember how painful it was for me to watch the discrimination and how these people were not, you know, told that they couldn't heal.
Yes.
And that awakened something in me that felt like I wanted to be able to help people heal in a way that was, you know, awaken them to their healing rather than heal, like, because that's a little bit, that's disempowering. And I felt this need to actually empower people and awaken them to their own capacities. And so that's where my journey started. And so that led me to get my degrees and led me to work for 13 years in the laboratory with DNA. But it was actually, while I was working, I felt like there was something missing. There was something that just still wasn't complete in that picture of being able to help people. And so that's when I actually discovered Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief. And that was like, you know, one of those moments of awakening for me where I felt like this has brought everything full circle for me. I now understand that the old way was disempowering, the genetics, and now the epigenetics is actually empowering. And this is where I need to be headed to be able to help people with.
So in other words, you go to a doctor or a healer or an energy worker, and you would, instead of them saying, let me fix you, it would be more of, let me show you how you fix yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you know, it's such a broad based subject, and what I mean by that, it is it's got some, well, to the layman, to me, it's looks somewhat complex. But can you just kind of give us a general gist of what your passion is, what your mission is, what you're working towards, and what you're doing?
My biggest mission on this planet, if I was to, you know, on my deathbed, if I have not completed this, then that would be the sorrow of my life. And that is really to help every person on this planet awaken to the power that exists in their DNA. That is my mission. And I know that I can help people do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I know you do that, and there's many people that do that, but for me, it's the angle that I come in with is the you know, having had the experience with DNA, worked with DNA hands-on, to recognize that there is a huge potential inside of us that can shift us from that paradigm, the old paradigm, into the new paradigm. That is my vision for each person on this planet.
And how does a layman get started in that? Is it as someone to say something paradoxical? Is it as simple and difficult as talking to our DNA, talking to ourselves?
You know, it sounds complex on the outside, but that's where I love making things simple.
Yeah.
Because simplicity is where divinity is.
Yeah.
And the simplest way of bringing that to everyone is that this is where our ancient wisdom of yoga, meditation, nature, all of that, what does that bring us? That brings us presence. And when we can combine that with the knowledge of science and spirituality, that's the key, that we can step into that. And literally that is, if anybody can take anything away from this talk, is that if they can step into presence in every moment of what they're experiencing, they can step into the place where they're in alignment with the frequency of divinity.
Yeah.
Where that allows them to come into alignment with their, on their cellular level, on the level of, you know, their life and everything. And I know it sounds so simple, but
That's why
yet
that's why I said it was a paradox.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. You know, it's really kind of, and I guess the same, like you said, it's cellular, you know, it's at every level, atomic. It's even in the, what would be our field of energy outside the body, so to speak. People talk about manifestation, materializing things in their life, but I love the way you put this, which is, you know, on one hand, I asked the question, do we speak to ourselves? Do we speak to our DNA? Do we program our DNA? And then your explanation, which to me is like a nonverbal thing, and I love it, is that be present. And by being present, everything goes into order, everything aligns. And I would have to say that that's a beautiful recipe. It seems to me, not just for programming the DNA, but also for materializing whatever it is that you desire in your life, I would think. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just take it back to one step and say that we have, you know, the soul energy within us, that is our divinity within us.
yes.
And I see that like the sun, you know, and we can, you know, anybody listening can close their eyes and feel that somewhere in their body.
Yes.
You may feel it in your heart, you may feel it in your solar plexus, you may feel it in your gut. Wherever you feel that, that's your true essence. And your, you know, we always say follow your instincts. It's like that's that energy inside of us. When we get present, we tune into that. And you know, the DNA has, with our permission, the way we think is what the DNA is going to be listening to.
Right.
And so if we are in that moment present, the DNA, the frequency that the DNA receives will be that of that divinity.
Yeah.
If we're not present and we're running around with everything going on in our heads, that has a frequency. And so that is what the DNA is going to be, you know, tuning into. But coming to, with regards to manifestation, you know, I find that so many people will have issues that they think they keep hitting their, you know, head against the wall about it because they've tried so many things and not able to really get past it. There's so much science to suggest on things like anxiety, you know, other health issues, and so many things that there is so many studies that have been done that show that we carry the information of the traumas of our ancestors.
Yes.
And so by getting into the state of presence, when you connect to that divinity, you know, anybody listening doesn't have any idea what we're actually allowing to integrate into wholeness. And that means all the people, you know, the energy of our ancestors that went through the traumas that's being passed on to our children. In the moment of presence, as simple as that sounds and as difficult as it can be, it is where it integrates all of that into wholeness.
Yeah.
And we heal. And so if we're looking to manifest something, just by that action alone, it's possible to then get past those barriers that had seemed to be barriers, and they dissolve.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because as I've been involved in what I'm doing for the last few years, and experienced things on an individual level, you know, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So there seems to be, as we've all, you know, come to understand, some type of collective awakening. Something's happening. But, you know, in the old paradigm, I guess, you know, you would plan things out and you would do this and do that and do this to get to this point. And now there seems to be something, at least that and I know it's not unique to me, but it's like what you're describing, which is, it's almost like, I would say like this, like the universe knows what your heart's desire is, who you want to be with, what your perfect picture of health is, your natural state. And so it's not really, it is very different than what we're used to. And it's really, like you said, just about being present. And by being present, you're aligning. It's almost like that's the recipe. And as far as the directions and the step-by-step, well, it's not really there. And if it is, it's in some unwritten, nonverbal, universal language. But it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And it is a simple recipe, although for us coming out of this old paradigm, it's not necessarily easy because of all the chatter and everything else that is involved with as instructions to that point. And I think the last thing I'd say too, and for so long you hear here and now, be here and now, and all these new age type cliches, which kind of take away from what you're describing, but it still doesn't make it any less true. What you're describing, as simple as it is extensive as the explanation needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, are there any, to your knowledge, are there any signs to that you're on the right path or you're hitting that frequency? I know recently I've had probably a handful of moments over the last couple of weeks where I'll be driving down the road or walking or just laying down, and I don't know if it's that I'm more present than I've ever been or not, but there's like an explosion of this sacred geometry, like these pyramids, and they just explode in my face. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. But I know it means something. But are there any signs or anything that you might be aware of that can tell you you're on the right path?
Well, I think everyone's got their own path in a sense. And so, everyone's experience is going to be different. But in order to answer that question, I think it's really important for people to realize that you're not going anywhere. You're not going to achieve anything. It's not about that. Because the minute we think we are, then it's again thoughts getting in the way of our being. And so it's more important to whatever your experience in the moment, if you can step off that wheel, like the hamster wheel.
Yes.
Can you get off that and just get present to whatever you're experiencing? So for example, if you're in a traffic jam, say for example, and you need to get somewhere and you've got all these things going on in your head, what if in that moment you could just breathe and step into that? And as soon as you do that, you get off the hamster wheel. And so a couple of things happen. Firstly, the biological response to that is different than if you were constantly stressing about needing to get somewhere.
Right.
So it's really vital for people to understand that, because that response, if you were continuing to stay in, I need to get there, the cortisol levels increase, your inflammation levels increase, and then there's all these other chronic diseases that result from all of that, from a sustained level of stress. But if in every moment, like I said, there's no measurement as such, but if in every moment you can just step into that presence, that is magnificent. It's doing a great job.
So basically, it's almost like if you're in that state, you're on automatic pilot.
Which the first state or the second state?
Well, no, not the hamster in the wheel. Not that one. That's an automatic pilot of a different sort. No, but I mean, being in that presence, it's like I said earlier, it's like taking your hands off the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it's on automatic pilot because I guess, I don't know how you would explain it, but you could say the universe, like I said earlier, knows what you want, your higher self.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes that's really what it is. It's our higher self knows what's best for us, what we want, has the right plan and trying to get that information to us. And I don't know how that plays into our conscious intention, our conscious willingness to, for instance, follow the path that you advocate. But it makes a lot of sense, and it is simple. It is simple.
Exactly. And I think if people can just step into that space, that's when you get into the flow of the universe, is what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes.
And so then the universe can then drive you, rather than you with a little mind trying to drive the whole. So as we step back, we allow that. So all these ancient technologies talk about surrender and being in that space, but it's hard for us to think of how do I surrender? Like, I mean, if somebody's done something to me, how do I surrender? Yes. Or how do I forgive? Like, how can I do that? Forgive somebody for doing this or that to me and surrender, and there's so much going on. So in an example like that, it would just, the first thing people would need to do is just step into what are they feeling about the situation. As soon as you step into feeling, you've moved away from the thought process, which was being fed by the sensations in the body in the first place, which may have come from some original place of some belief or something that you inherited. And the minute you just step into that, it's like allowing the universe to just take the wheel.
Yeah.
And that's when the relationships can change and how things can shift in your life and abundance can show up, and
And as within, without, as your DNA, and for instance, and at a biological level, as your DNA, people say, returns to the original blueprint or whatever, returns to its natural state, then it's reflected outside of you in your field and in your external experience.
Well, I just on that point, I had some information today from a scientist in Russia. Peter Gorov is his name, and he's done some work. He does work with wave genetics, and today I actually saw his data, which was just amazing. And initially I had thought that the work that I'm talking about, being present, just changes your DNA expression. But from his work, what is happening is that we literally change our DNA code.
Yes. Yeah. And it sounds like the purest way to get there, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it's versus speaking to it or affirmations. And I'm not saying that those don't work, but it's just simply being present and being at peace with everything and anything that is in your field. Whether it pops in your head, somebody triggers you, or you walk outside into the park or whatever. Yeah.
The thing is, it may not even be peaceful. It may just be angry. It may just be grief. And it's being present to whatever. As humans, we're here to feel all those emotions, but can we not judge them? And that's where we step into the presence.
Yeah, there's I was really interested in these animated things that you're doing. I really liked Spirit Science. It reminded me of, I don't know if you ever seen Spirit Science on YouTube.
I think I have, yes.
Yeah, they were pretty popular around 2012. I want to run over to YouTube, if you don't mind, and show everybody, show them a little clip. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, just hang on one second. Let me just put on the sound. All right, so I was looking at this one. I don't want to go too long on it. Now, you've got some going back many, many years you've been doing this. You've got 9-year videos that are 9 years old. This is your website, Charan Surdhar. And also she has this is her YouTube, but she also has a website under the same name, which I've been to, but I couldn't find the videos there. Here's one here, want to move from stuckness to freedom?
Yeah.
Is that one, would this be a good indicator, example?
Yes, it would.
All right, let's watch at least some of this. It's 7 minutes and 37 seconds long, but I think it'd be well worth it. I'm just following intuition here. You're okay with this? Okay, let's Let's turn this on and see.
Hi, this is Charan Surdhar and I am an epigeneticist. What I wanted to ask you is, does your life on any level look like this? Whether it's to do with your body, whether it's to do with any physical situation outside of you, or is it to do with a relationship, yourself with your body, or with something outside of yourself, or with someone outside yourself? And you have tried and tried and tried, and nothing is working. And you feel really stuck. And life just doesn't go the way you want. There's fears and anxieties. And you just can't seem to find the balance. And there's no peace of mind. Now, if that's the case, then this person that's represented by this DNA strand, which is because transformation happens like that. In this picture, it's that you really are running around and the DNA inside you is being impacted because you're in this level of stress that's so normal for you now that you can't see beyond that. But your biology is showing that up by increasing inflammation and maybe insulin resistance and chronic disease, maybe aches and pains in your body, weight gain, hair loss, and the list goes on and on. But what I want to tell you is that if you're in this place of stuckness, there's 4 steps that I'm going to talk about here that will allow you to get to a place of freedom. So if you want to hear those, just hang on. Because your life, from being this, it can be this. And this is a place where you can be in your life. You know, we've heard so many places where when you do yoga, or if you go walking in nature, or if you watch the sunrise or the sunset, you feel this energy of being at peace with everything there is. And this is a place you can get to, which is a place of freedom, when you go through these 4 stages in every situation of your life. But before I tell you those 4 stages, I want to tell you about own your genome, because when you get to freedom, you really do own your genome. Om is the presence in you that influences or controls your genes. Now, Om is not, I'm not referencing it to any spiritual context here, but more that it is the sound of the universe which exists inside of you, and that's where you can be. And it's about you owning your power, your Om. And these 4 stages, in order for you to go from stuckness to freedom, are based on the principles of science, ancient wisdom, and spirituality. And a combination of all of these allow you to step into this place of genome. And that's where you can create miracles in your body and life. Now, the 4 stages, I talk more about these in my membership, the community membership, the Own Your Genome community membership, and take people through these so that they can access this on a continual basis, because life is constantly presenting us with situations where you experience stuckness. And when you learn these processes in a group setting, in a way that we help you integrate those as a group, and you get to this place of freedom. And this is why I'm showing it like a spiral, because the more you practice, every time a situation comes to you, you've moved further up on the spiral, and it's easier for you to access these stages and get to the point of freedom. So the first stage here is awareness, and that is where you notice. And number 2, you notice where you're at. You've stopped in the hamster wheel. You are in a place where you let those bags down, and begin to notice. So as you're listening to me, just take a certain situation in your life that you're aware of and just see where you're at in one of these stages, or if none of these stages, and see if you can move yourself through these stages. So awareness is to notice, and as soon as you notice, you move out of overwhelm. Number 2 is integration, where you feel. Can you feel now? You step into the body and you start feeling. You still have this angst about a situation, but you've gone from the blame on the outside to dropping inside. Then transformation is where you sense. You begin to sense what you're feeling in the body. And sensations are the key to what is in there, in your energy field, that's resulting your DNA from expressing the way that it had been. But as you step into this place of sensing, you're shining the light of your own internal place of frequency of infinite possibilities. And as you do that, you are stepping into being able to move away from blaming, but really dropping into the body. And as you continue to do this, then you come to freedom, where you can be. And in that place, you feel detached from the situation that was at hand. You feel like that doesn't have an impact on you. And you've dropped judgments, you've dropped feeling that sense of blame. And you're in a place of empowerment. Now, when you do this and you go through these 4 stages, your DNA is going through a transformation. And that is the invitation here for you to do that. And that is what, as I said, we do in the community membership.
Oops.
And if you'd like...
That was very cool. I want to pull that. Let me make sure. I want to go back just a second. I want to have those words in front of me. Here we go. So this is what I find really cool about what you just showed. We picked the right one, didn't we? So first, it's awareness. And I think everyone pretty much probably gets that already. You know what I mean? I mean, not that we don't, but I mean, everyone's kind of got that, to be aware. Because as Morgan says, you know, she's been doing energy work for 20 years. She'll say the first step to transformation is to be aware. Okay. So then you take it to feeling, which I've talked about this on the shows last year in Sedona. I started to feel, and you made the correction earlier when I said about being at peace. I kind of meant it in a different way, but I understood what you said, because last year in Sedona, I started to sit with my feelings. You know, I was living out of a suitcase for a long, long time, and it was very difficult, and I was angry. And I remember the day, and she said to me, "Do you want to clear it?" I said, "No, I want to be angry." So I sat on the bed and was angry, and then it just dissipated. But then you go to transformation, where you use the word sense. And I want to make sure I understand this, because I actually did an exercise as I was watching it with something that's going on with me right now, with Morgan and I, which is how can we keep her here? How can we get through the immigration process and keep her here so that we don't have to be separated again? And so I went through it, and when I got to that point, I didn't know what you were going to say in regard to transformation. But because it says sense it. But when you said go into the body, I thought, wow, that's it, light bulb. So if you take in a situation, like say my own, and if I look at that situation, okay, I'm aware of it. How does it make me feel? It doesn't feel very good. It scares me, hurts my heart, you know, that we would be separated. You know, the external is I don't have the money, you know, that's the external, and the government and the borders, and, you know, so I got the feeling, I've centralized it in my body. And then the third one is, what do I sense in my body? What part of my body, and I'm really asking you a question, making sure I got this right, because I'm going to use it. But So what part of my body is speaking to me in regard to this dominant imbalance or this dominant obstruction to my natural state? Can you take it from there? Was I wrong about anything? And can you?
You're absolutely correct. So when we go from awareness to integration of feeling, we're stepping into being able to allow ourselves to feel, like you just said. So let's take your example of all the things that are going on. It's feeling anxious, feeling whatever it is that you're feeling. So the next step then is into integration of that, which you feel, you sense. As soon as you sense, you've moved away from the judgments of so and so this or so and so that. Why is it this way? Any of that. You stepped into just being, sensing.
So the feeling and the sensing is a little different. And I just want to make sure, because as you're talking, as you're saying this, tears are welling up in my eyes. I sense sadness. I sense, pain in my heart, which is not the feeling of the anger or the sadness in step 2. This is actually the body, the tears welling up, the heart kind of aching, and that actually feels better. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, because then the sensations that you're feeling are connecting, and your DNA is vibrating at that frequency. So now that you can sit and sense, you actually shining the torch of divinity onto those sensations. And as you're doing that, that begins to shift and come into wholeness, and then you find the freedom of feeling better.
Yeah.
And then from that place, whatever needs to show up will show up, because now you're allowing the universe to take the seat, the wheel.
Well, I can tell you this, I feel better. Like I feel like I just moved something, right? I just moved out of this angst, step 1, kind of like, I want to say discombobulated, or at least not a cohesion. There was my spirit was like fractal. And then 2, how do you feel? And then the interesting thing is 3, what do you sense? Well, I could feel sadness. I could sense the physicality of it, which was the sting of the tears, and then the heart. And then all of a sudden it moved right out. And the chatter just went like that. That's real. I'm telling you, I just did this in the moment. So I'm just saying from my own experience, it's a nice.
You got freedom from whatever was going on.
Now you're saying that, and then once this state's reached, like I really feel like this relief. I mean, I'm just telling you, just like I can feel all my muscles relax, and the constrictions are gone, which I'm sure go into other parts of my body. But you're saying at this point, if you sustain that point, then whatever you need, basically, what your frequency is aligned with your natural nature, and whatever aligns with it will come.
Well, life is fluctuating, and it's always going to be presenting us with situations. So let's imagine if there's just a whiteboard in front of us that represents our life.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know it's a whiteboard unless we put a black dot on it.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So any situation that comes, we can be the whiteboard by being present to whatever the whiteboard shows up with.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, in this moment you're feeling the freedom, but then you get a letter or you get something that shows up, again, you would just do the process again. And so it's about, what's showing up on my whiteboard that I can again recognize that I am this.
Yeah, I like that. That's powerful. Yeah, that's powerful.
I'm happy to work with people or whatever you'd like.
You mean on right now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, how do you do that? How would you propose to do that? Just have somebody. Well, you go ahead and you lead us.
Well, if somebody would like to come on, we can do that. If you want to work with the collective, we can get them to pick an issue that they have, and we can take them through the process. And
Well,
I
we
can,
could. Well, I guess I kind of just did that. So,
yeah.
I don't know. We probably don't have enough time to like bring someone
Okay.
in and go through all that. But we could either do something. I could be the client, or we could do something collectively. Whatever you think is best.
Okay, well, let's do that collectively. Where I'll just move into that space where it allows everybody's cellular structure to align to their own divinity, and see where people go and how they feel. How's that? Just maybe for a minute.
So be aware of what the awareness. Step one. Right?
So just for them to just recognize if they're feeling anything, if there's a pain in their body, if they're feeling something emotional, just get a number on it, 0 to 10, 10 being the worst. And then we'll do this for a minute and see what happens. So, shall I start?
Let me see. Well, there's quite a few people that would like to get some help. But let's, I'm going to, okay, somebody has said stiff neck. So I think it's kind of setting in now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and go to the next one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Let's go to
Okay.
the next. Yeah.
So you mean begin?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. I'm starting now. So everyone just notice where you're at. Stay with the sensing rather than the feeling. So sense where the feelings are in the body and not judge it. And then here we go. See how things shift.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people can just get back to you on there and see how they feel now.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I guess this can be applied to both that I'm about to say. So one would be to go into a moment like I did a few minutes ago, like you just did right now, and then give it thought. You know, what do I sense? What am I sensing in my body? And locate it. And you don't I don't know, I guess you don't even have to figure it out. You just kind of sense it, and then it just kind of, which is different than sitting with your feelings, which is one thing I learned today. But then also, several people, or at least a couple of people, talked about chronic. And we've all had something that's lasted a long time or whatever. I guess we could apply that as well to something that's been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be about how are they feeling about the situation? How are they feeling that it's constantly this?
Yeah.
It will be angst, it will be frustration. So that's always the simplicity is stepping into the immediate, feeling about it, and then where do you sense it?
Yeah.
And that is usually like a domino effect, and it feeds into what's going on.
So if it were something like I had chronic back pain for 12 years, if it was something like that, I know it's there, I'm aware of it. If I come across you, your method, and then I say, how do I feel about that? I don't like it. It pisses me off. It makes my life, and feel the emotions of that. And then, of course, with something like that, I guess it would be somewhat, it sounds somewhat easier, but again, here we go with the paradox. I've got a chronic back, so what am I sensing? Well, obviously that's a dominant thing, but there might be other things tied to it that might come to the surface. And then, of course, fourth is the being. Several people have mentioned here, much less worry now, powerful. Wow, thanks. My headache is less intense. Thank you. I felt the energy running through me. Thank you. Let's see. Wow, very powerful. I had incredible visuals and very peaceful. Wow. Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and so coming back to like the back pain, it would be that, you'd feel the anxiety, the frustration about it. And the key is not to label it as pain, but there will be some heat in the back, or there would be some tightness. And if we can step into that, then that's where we're sensing. The minute we say pain, we're actually labeling it, judging it, and what pain makes it in our minds think that it's going to stay forever.
Yeah.
So it's stepping into that sensing.
I love that too, because the sensing, it takes all the, I got to figure this out, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. You're just sensing, like I was sensing the stinginess, and then the heart in my situation, and just what's there. This is what's there, and then this was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually felt a lot of relief, at a in my physicality, as well as, you know what I mean? Mentally, emotionally, whatever.
Yeah. And so everyone who's experiencing that in yourself as well, that, you've stepped into that place of the miracle within yourself.
Very powerful. Excellent. Excellent. Let's take people to your website and show them around a little bit. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, let me find it. Here it is. Okay, so this is Genome. Express the power in your DNA. So it says here that you have there's some resources here, a blog. There's a 21-day genome miracle body program and a couple other ones. Do you want to take it from here and just give, we've got a few minutes and talk about whatever you feel like you would like to talk about. Tell us what you have to offer or anything you might have coming up.
Well, I basically, the people can go and check out the success stories there for themselves. And just what I want people to keep in mind is that it's about them waking up to their own capacities. And, that's really my job, to waken them up to that genome, as you heard in the video. But I have just opened up a community membership, which you heard in the video as well, which is really to help people get people to help them through those steps in whatever they're experiencing. And that community is a closed community. And I only open the doors to that certain times of the year. So it will be opening up later on this year. So if people want to get notification of that, if they just sign up for the free gift, which is right at the bottom, they'll get on my list as well, which then allows me to give them that information. But what they will get as the gift is the 3 easy steps to light up your DNA for health and abundance. And in there, I go into more detail of what they can do. There's 3 steps that people can get for that. So once they've done that, they can use that free gift to, in whatever situation of their life, whatever is going on, you can use that, and I take them through that. So there's a couple of things in the genome shop as well. these are prayers that I have created, which there's a written version as well as written and audio versions that they can have. And you can just listen to those or read those. And they're divided, they're 8 prayers, which you get 1 a week. They're for grief, for anger, for, different things that people experience. And there's the source DNA meditation that's really getting in touch with the source and allowing source to actually align your DNA to it. So that's that. And the genome quantum sessions are basically me just working with people on the level where it aligns them to that. So those are the 4 secrets to express the power in your DNA. That's another product that people can get, and obviously a session as well. So those are the things.
So you do sessions.
Yes.
And how would people? What's the best way for people to contact you to do a session?
Well, if they go and click on the quantum DNA sessions, they'll be able to find all the information about that, and they can choose whichever way they'd like to work with me on that.
Oh, here it is, right here.
Yeah.
To the right, the genome quantum DNA sessions, 7 sessions over a period of a week, or 30 sessions over a period of a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people can choose whichever. It depends on the condition that they have, whether it's a 7 or 30-day period. But that is my favorite way of taking people through and achieving the results that they would like to get to.
Very cool. Very cool, very impressive. Very honored to witness and take part and experience that. Nice little exercise. I needed it this morning. Obviously, I didn't know that. I was unaware. So then I went to step 1. Now I'm aware. And the rest is history. No, it's a beautiful, simple process, and it's inspiring work that you do. Really.
Thank you, Tom, and it's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Now, did you say that you in the bio you're putting a book together? I mean, do you have anything coming up? Any events? Any appearances? Anything like that?
Like I said, it's basically the community that I'm building right now. So if people are interested in that, they can just get in touch with me.
Yeah. Well, I just signed up for yours. I just signed up right now. So.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to get. That's usually what happens on this show. Is you're probably going to get inundated with requests for sessions and also signing up at the website. So very, very, very powerful hour we just had. So I really do appreciate that. Would love to collaborate with you again in the future. I've been saying this most of the year. This is the year, as I understand it, of sovereignty, expansion, collaboration, and co-creation, supporting our brothers and sisters in their passion, what they're doing. So for those of you that are live and on the replay, get over to her website. There's plenty of videos on YouTube going back 9 years. Take a look around and support her and what she's doing in the spirit of an equal energy exchange, which is the universal law and the only commerce exchange that matters to me, that we support each other. So thank you so much for the work you're doing. Thank you for spending time with us, honoring us with your presence, sharing your knowledge with us. And hopefully we can have you back on if you're up for it.
Absolutely. Anything to support you, Tom.
Thank you so much. You have a nice day. We'll see you guys in another hour with the next show. Thank you for starting my morning off so well.
Thank you.